click Accept. Now the devices are connected and you can begin setting up the parental controls. To set up Google Family Link on your own device, simply install it from the App Store, launch the app, and sign in. Google Family Link gives you the ability to check the location of your child's device. On the main screen of the app, scroll down to Location and click Set Up. Please note that the location of your child's device may take a few hours to show up in the app. To set up time limits for your child to use their device, scroll down to Screen Time and click Set Up. From here, you can choose how much time your child is allowed to spend on their device each day. You have the ability to make these settings consistent across weekdays and weekends. You also have the ability to force the child's device to turn off at night in order for them to get sleep. Again, you have the ability to make these settings consistent across school nights and weekend nights. To manage or block apps, click Manage Settings and then click Android Apps. You will then see a list of all the apps installed on your child's device, and you are able to click into the app and block it. To unblock the app, simply click into the Blocked Apps tab, click the app that you would like to unblock, and toggle the green button. To control the kind of content your child can view and download in the Google Play Store, click Manage Settings, then click Controls on Google Play. Now you can choose whether or not your child must request approval to download apps and games, movies, TV shows, books, and music. You may also choose what kind of content is appropriate for your child based on their age. This will ensure that your child cannot access mature material when searching through the Google Play Store. To prevent your child from making changes to the parental control settings you put in place, scroll to the bottom of the screen, find your child's device, and click Settings. There are several parental control settings that you can ensure you are the only one that can make updates to. Choose one of the settings and then click Only Parents to ensure that you are the only one that can make changes to these settings. To protect your child while they are surfing the internet, click Manage Settings on the main screen. Next, click Filters on Google Chrome. You may also add sites that your child is approved to visit, as well as sites that you would like to block. From here, you may ask Google to try to block mature content, as well as the first.
I think one of the things that I can agree with the video we've just watched, and I hope we'll be able to share it with our viewers after this session, is the fact that parents have control over what their children are watching, when they can go to sleep, and also as a parent, it gives you the opportunity to be able to actually control your children's devices without them having to fiddle with the settings. So we can control the content by restricting unhealthy sites, which is called blacklisting, and then we can also whitelist the sites that we would want our children to watch. And this is actually really, really comforting for parents because you're able to filter the kind of web browsing that our children can watch. And also, remember last week when we were discussing about screen time, this particular link, Family Link app, is able to help you manage the time your children are online, and actually from the comfort of your own device, you can shut them down if you feel like they have been having an extended time on their screens. So we need to be able to try and start utilizing these tools that are available to us as parents, so that we're able to even just manage what kind of content is coming through into our children's devices. We also have something else that is very exciting, that as parents, we can actually directly control the browser. And I would also like to share a video with you people so that you're able to see how step by step you can be able to filter explicit content from coming to your children's device. So enjoy this video coming up.
Did you know there's a way to filter out explicit content from your Google searches? With Google Safe Search, sexually explicit images, videos, and results that may link to explicit content get filtered out from your search results. To activate Safe Search from the Google homepage, find the Settings button in the lower right-hand corner and select Search Settings. You'll see Safe Search Filters as the top result. Check this box to turn on Safe Search and click Save at the bottom. As Google indicates here, the filter won't catch everything, but it will hide most adult content. You can also lock Safe Search by confirming with your email address to keep children from changing the settings. You can even set Safe Search for your phone browser, iPad or iPhone Google app, Android app, tablet, or Android TV. For step-by-step instructions for setting these settings and more information about them, find the Help section on the left-hand side. Then, turn Safe Search on or off. On this page, you can learn more about how Safe Search works, how to keep it locked, and how to troubleshoot. In addition to Safe Search, it is important to teach your kids how to determine what websites are good, reliable sources. For further information regarding internet and app safety, check out our other videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
I think as a parent, as a guardian, and also as an educator, one of the things that I love about what Google is doing in terms of helping us filter content is the fact that it helps us lock the safe search so that our children are not able to meddle or start changing the screen time rules that have been set by the parent. And I think that is very, very comforting. So I hope you can go back to these videos step by step, look at how you can put on your safe search, look at how you can use the family link so that you're able to even monitor where your children are when you're not with them, because that is something that actually is a tool that is provided for us, and it actually gives us a lot of security. When we are away from our children, we're able to see exactly where they are. And so even as we proceed with this webinar, I would like to continue explaining how we can be able to use the different kind of tools. Remember, here we are trying to get you to understand family-friendly content. And even as we are doing that, we're able to see how we can prevent our children from getting exposed to unhealthy or mature content. YouTube also has something called the restricted mode. And this morning, I was so happy. I woke up and found that there are parents who have already started utilizing this particular setting. On your mobile phones, it is under the settings. It is under your. You go to your settings on your YouTube account, and then go to the very, very bottom. You will see restricted mode. By default, it is normally not highlighted, so you have to highlight it so that it is turned on, so that at least if your children are using your phone, which is very common for us parents at this particular time, they're not able to watch or access any mature content. So this is something that is very easy for you to do. If you're using your mobile phone, which I know is very common, you can have it under the settings of your YouTube, and you'll be able to see restricted mode. And actually, even on your iPads and your computers, it will be at the middle part. But the phone is the one that is really at the bottom. But if you're using your browser in terms of computer or iPad, it is somewhere at the middle. You will see restricted mode. Please turn it on so that you're able to also protect your children from seeing unhealthy content. And remember, if you have a child who is less than 13 years of age and you would love them to continue enjoying YouTube, there is YouTube for Kids that is primarily set up for kids content. It is parent approved content for children. You can set screen time limits for them there. It has been flagged in terms of they flagged unhealthy mature content from children, and you're able to also review their watch history. So if you feel like you would rather have your children on YouTube Kids, it is an app that you can very easily get from your app store, your Play Store, and have your children enjoy parent approved content that is healthy for them. So you're able to actually see the two. However, if you're a parent who allows your children to be on the other YouTube, please enable the restricted mode, because it will actually help them not get access to mature content. Now, we have something that I really love to use with my children. And when I was introducing them to reading, we were using an app called Bolo that they have now renamed to Read Along. It is really, really encouraging, and it is using artificial intelligence where the children are reading, speaking into the device and reading what they have read, and they're able to be guided onto how they are reading and their progress. And when they don't understand certain words, the artificial intelligence is able to help them learn that word. And so this is one of the tools that I personally use and I personally really love. And my children have made it something that they use within their schooling system. Even sometimes they use it as a book club, read along. And this is how you are able to utilize. So go to your app store, download read along. Even though you type Bolo right now, it will still come, but it will come as read along. And then you download it. Once you have installed it on your phone, you're able to see a library of books, and your child is able to create a profile for themselves. And depending on their age, because they will have to put in their age so that it gives them age appropriate books for them to read, they're able to see that at the face value of their library books. And then once they continue reading and as they're progressing, your child actually gets awarded with stars and badges, which is something really good because it also encourages your child to continue loving to read. And this is something that parents can use and feel safe. If their children are using their phones or their tablets, they're feeling that they're safe. Your child is using screen time for education. So please try and download Read Along. It is a very absolutely good app that you can use for your children. And so, how do you protect your family from negative content? This is such an interesting question, which I know there are very many people who have very many views at this particular moment. Please feel free to engage us on the chat options on Facebook because you're streaming live, and just tell us how you have managed to just help your children be protected from negative content. We need to be able to start talking to our children on what they may find over the internet and help them understand that some stories they come across might be real and sometimes not real, and how they are able to interpret the content that they see online. We need to be able to start guiding them on that and encourage them more to be positive consumers and positive givers on content over the internet. We need to be able to start helping our children to think before they post and think if what they're posting is necessary, because they also can be contributors towards negative content online. So we need to be able to have the conversation of what they read and also what they post online. We need to help our children understand that clicking on pop-ups that just show on over their browser pages can be unsolicited emails that would be actually making them give personal information or private information about themselves and their families. So we need to be able to caution them against clicking pop-ups. We also need to start supervising those very younger internet users on how they're able to access certain sites. And remember, we were saying last week that children who are below 10, and even all the children, but specifically children who are below the age of 10, should be supervised while they're using the internet. Because at that point, if you see something that is not really aligning, you need to be able to start cautioning your children around them. And sometimes the younger children who are using the internet, they like clicking on anything and everything that pops over their face because children are curious by nature and that is who they are. So we need to be able to start helping them understand that they should not be clicking everything that pops, because some of those things are also malware. It could be consumerism, and we need to be able to help them understand what to share online and what not to share online. That is our designated role as parents. And so, one of the things that we need to also do as we have this conversation with them is to just talk. And specifically, when children come and tell you that they have seen what may be perceived as mature content, we need to start having conversations from where they saw that content, how they interpreted it, what they think about it, and so that you're able to guide your children depending on what they saw and their state of mind at that particular moment. We need to always inform them that they need to think before they post. Is it necessary? Is it kind? Is it mature? Is it something that they're proud of? They need to be able to know that before they click something on the internet, they need to be able to have gone through a session of thinking. And then, if you have younger children, please, please, please supervise them. And then we are going to try and take a very, very short break where we are going to be able to show you a few things that we have been doing, and specifically Alex has been doing with children in terms of online safety. So at this particular moment, I will hand it over to John to please show us a video. Thank you. John?
So the Web Rangers Summit brings together people from 3 great countries, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, that are all involved in our Web Rangers program, which is our online safety program sponsored by Google and done with our great partners in each of the 3 countries.
Guys, are we excited to be here today? Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, let's go. Mr. DJ, let's have the song.
Okay, so you pass the balloon as fast as you can to the next person.
Who has the balloon? Oh, great. Put your hands together for her. Okay, so Latifa, what you're going to do right now is to find someone to tag. Maybe not your friend, someone you're just saying for the first time. Awesome. Okay, put your hands together for her.
Okay, so come up stage, Prisha. So you're gonna find a creative way to pop that balloon. Come on, guys.
A question right there. So what number is this?
Okay, so this question is supposed to be your answer individually. Question 3. What will you do if you mistakenly forward a picture of yourself sleeping in the bus, your class WhatsApp group, and your friends are laughing really about it in the group? Examine your own disclaimer and activities.
Hacker is someone that goes to your personal information or do things online that you don't want. For instance, I can log into your Facebook without your permission, and I can do something bad.
So the Web
about
Rangers
you.
Summit brings together people from 3 great countries, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, that are all involved in our Web Rangers program, which is our online safety program sponsored by Google and done with our great partners in each of the 3 countries.
Guys, are we excited to be here today? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, let's go. Mr. DJ, let's have the song.
Okay, so you pass the balloon as fast as you can to the next person.
Who has the balloon? Oh, great. Put your hands together for her. Okay, so Latifa, what you're going to do right now is to find someone to tag. Maybe not your friend, someone you're just saying for the first time. Awesome. Okay, put your hands together for it.
Okay, so come upstage, Richard. So you're gonna find a creative way to pop that balloon.
Come on, guys.
The question is right there. So what number is this?
Okay, so this question is for both of you, you're gonna answer it individually. Question 3. What will you do if you mistakenly forward a picture of yourself sleeping in the bus to your class WhatsApp group and your friends are laughing already about it in the group?
From all over the country.
I'll just scream.
So we are going to just go straight into the next session of our webinar, which is protecting family security and privacy. For the sake of those of us who are not with us last week, I was able to demonstrate to you what it means between personal information and private information. And if you allow me, I will just try and repeat that again briefly. Personal information is what the things that constitute to who you are. And if I can give an example of myself, my name is Evelyn. I wear glasses. I have dreadlocks. I love bright colors. Those are things that just make Evelyn as a person who I am. And then private information would be things like phone numbers, email addresses, where our children go to school, where we stay. Those are the things that I know very many parents are cautious around sharing over the internet. And so we need to be able to help our children understand the difference between posting private information and posting personal information. And even as they get into the world of social media, we need to be able to go with them through the different platforms and see what kind of information has been posted out there. So we need to also start demonstrating and adjusting our media applications. We need to be able to create strong passwords for our children, very strong passwords, and I'll be able to demonstrate that in a short while. And then provide parents with now tips on open discussions on what to do when children face online harassment, or what we call digital harassment. So welcome to this second session, and we'll go straight into asking you a very, very fundamental question. What is the most popular social media platform for your kids? I know if I was to ask you, most of us, it is Facebook, probably Twitter, and most of us end there. Some of us are on Instagram, but you find that right now with our children, they have a range of social media platforms that they engage in. So I would want you to write this question down, because I know most of us might not really have the answer, and then float it to your children and just ask them, what is the most popular social media platform for you? And let them tell you. And please write the answers down so that you're able to also start educating yourself. If you are a person like me, when they go to sleep, you will go on your computer and start Googling those applications and start seeing what those applications are all about. Because probably when you ask them this question, you will hear very, very many new social media platforms that they engage in. One of the new ones that I got from my son, who is turning 9, was Discord, because he is into gaming. So if your child is into gaming and they know Discord, please start engaging with those applications. There is House Party, there is Wattpad. I know most of us have started engaging with TikTok because it is really trendy. So we need to be able to start asking our children this question and see what they tell us. Please go back and start evaluating what these platforms have and what our children are doing on them. There was a survey that was done by UNICEF a while back, and the one that we were showing some statistics from the previous webinar, and it has shown actually the increased use of mobile devices and greater access to broadband internet has made children more accessible than ever through unprotected social media profiles and online game forums. I think even we have just been told right now by Communications Authority of Kenya that we have actually now increased our bandwidth. Our broadband internet has increased, and I know in the African context, we actually are the countries that are privileged to have affordable internet, and we also have affordable devices, internet-enabled devices, which makes our children have accessibility to these platforms. They have accessibility to the devices. So now it is our responsibility to start seeing how we can keep them vigilant as they're online, and also understand the obstacles, but further than that, help them harness the potential that there is out there for the internet. And so as we live online, children as well as adults, we like to post pictures of ourselves, food, places we are doing, and the kind of things that interest us. So we need to be able to start looking at the kind of information, as I said, that constitute to our digital footprint, so that we keep our children safe at all times. So as we are protecting our children's security and our family's security, one of the things that we need to be able to start discussing with them is stranger danger. We need to discuss with them about identity fraud, and then online bullying and harassment. And some of these things we see just happening in the news. And I know over a certain period of time we have heard about online grooming, and we need to be able to start having our children understand the risks of stranger danger. And these are the places where they will be able to get onto an internet platform, a gaming platform, or social media, and they're chatting with people whom they do not know. Remember, there's a point where we talked about the kind of people our children are playing with. In the survey that was done by UNICEF, they said that some children are playing with their friends, some are playing with strangers. So when it comes to these strangers, we need to be able to start having conversations with our children around whom they're playing with and whom they're sharing information with. And I may begin with stranger danger, which is online grooming, and let you understand what this is all about. So we all know that the word online grooming comes from the definition of children getting into online platforms and talking or engaging with people who are not known to them, and who are posing to be children as them. And these people actually take advantage of our children, because they're vulnerable. They take advantage of our children. It is easy to pretend to be someone else on the internet. So children can sometimes end up having conversations with people who have hidden their real identities. So we need to be able to start engaging them in terms of what they're doing online. And when you're buying a game for your child, have you played that game? Have you checked whether the chat functions are on? Because one of the things that I encourage parents to do is to have the chat functions off, because if children are communicating through the gaming, they're able to tell each other what they need instead of having the chat function on, and they can go on and on and on in terms of talking and engaging with people whom they might not know who they are. And so what can we actually look out for when we are talking about online grooming? Children become secretive about whom they are talking to online. That is something that children start having when they're not being openly honest about whom they're talking online. They start using sexual language you wouldn't expect them to use. And this could actually come from their engagement with strangers online, but also from the kind of content that they're exposed to while they're on the internet. So we need to start being very careful about the language that comes on at a certain period of time as they are engaging with online platforms. Children have started switching screens when you come near them. And I think at this day and age where learning has now shifted to the online platform, you find if your child has very many tabs open, when you come, they either close the tabs or they start minimizing the tabs to just pretend that they were doing what you expect them to be doing at that particular time. So these are some tips that some things that we need to be able to look at as parents, to see whether our children are also doing grooming, and the kind of also information that they're really relaying out there. And it is up to us to actually go online, search the accounts of our children to just see what kind of information is out there about them. How can we start speaking to them about online grooming? And you can start a conversation like this. I read a story about an adult pretending to be a child online. Have you or any of your friends experienced something similar? Instead of going guns blazing, remember the other day we said we are here to help you create conducive environments for your children. Begin conversations by putting yourself into your children's shoes and trying to see if they have experienced this, or they know people who have experienced such kind of things online. And so when you ask them this kind of a question, they're able to be reciprocative to tell you, instead of them lying. And because maybe depending on how you approach it, if you go guns blazing, they shut down. But if you go there, genuinely and openly asking them, because you're being very attentive and you're being genuine, they're able to talk to you about these things. Then you can start having conversations about the risks that could happen when they're sharing content about themselves online, and that kind of things. And this just goes to show that parents, we need to be able to listen to stories about people who have gone through this online grooming. I remember sometimes, I think it was 2019 when I was watching news and I saw a girl who was 17 years old in Minnesota who came from one town to another town to go and see someone they met on Facebook. And when she reached to that particular place, she realized that this was a grown up and it was a pedophile. And before things actually escalated, they were finding a dead body. We have actually even seen some of these stories here in Kenya. I remember in North, it was Western Kenya, where a young girl actually moved from their village and went to the town to try and meet someone that they met on a particular platform. And at that time, she kept reporting to the police that we met here, we were talking about this. He even sent me money on M-Pesa, and I was able to come and see. But when the young girl reached there, she realized that very quickly she was talking to an adult. This is how that online grooming happens, and we need to be able to be very, very open with our children and show them the risks that could happen by giving them real life examples, because this could happen to your children, it could happen to my children. So we need to be able to just be open about. So talk about the risks. Remember last week we were talking about the rules of engagement, and then always keep engaged. Our children meet different people online, and remember there's a whole ecosystem of people who have access to your children, who will give them information maybe aligned to your values, sometimes not aligned to your values. So as long as your children understand that these are our rules of engagement when we are offline, when we are online, we need to keep engaged with them, because these kind of things come wearing different shapes and sizes, and we need to be able to just tell our children, when you feel something is off, please come and report to me, as opposed to them going to their peers or going over the internet to fill in the gaps for themselves. So I hope that is very clear and we're able to move along with that. Privacy and identity fraud. We know the people who still pretend to be who they're not online could be there for very, very many reasons, some malicious, and our children's identities can actually be stolen. Our children are very vulnerable and they trust very easily. So somebody can come online, keep affirming your child, keep telling your child all these good things about them, and what happens? They steal their identity, they go commit a crime, and your child is left suffering the consequences because they trusted the wrong person, because they gave the wrong information to people whom they should not have been giving it to. So we need to be able to have these conversations with them. Our children are also victims of blackmail, because sometimes they may be told to post compromising pictures of themselves, and then someone on the other end of the screen would be telling them, if you don't do ABCD for me, I'm going to release these photos online of yourself. And because the children do not want to be ashamed, they don't want to be embarrassed, they get into these spaces where they succumb to the blackmail and they start doing things for other people. And that could actually be tantamount to even crime along the way. So we need to be able to start even showing our children, as much as we are giving you the freedom to be over the internet, we are giving you these devices. There are certain things we must do, there are certain things we must be very aware about, and especially things like this. We know people who pretend not to be who they are. They use avatars, and avatars are just almost like nicknames and pseudonyms and pseudo accounts online. So we need to be able to start telling our children how to differentiate between real and fake. And that is up to you and I to continue researching, to continue engaging in terms of parenting, so that we're able to keep equipping our children with this kind of information. So what can we look out for when it comes to identity fraud? We need to start getting acquainted with some of the things that our children haven't ordered. Getting a bill of something they haven't ordered. There's a friend of mine who connected his credit card to, I think, a child Apple device. And sometimes, one of the times, the bank called and said, we have seen a card has been debited over a game that probably is not something that you normally do. So he ended up going and finding that the son, without his knowledge, swiped to the father's card some very good money actually, and bought a game online, which he actually didn't even know what the game was all about. So we need to start looking. If you pin your credit card account into a phone or something, if you start getting bills of something you haven't ordered, we need to start looking at our children and seeing if probably through them they have been hacked. So also start when you start getting emails from organizations that you have not either subscribed to or people that you have not recognized. And at this point, also just trying to help our children realize that secure sites have either a green padlock at the top of the URL, or it has HTTPS to just show security. we need to be able to also start engaging ourselves and equipping ourselves with these kind of things. And for those who actually do not know, if you can see at my URL here, I'm using Google Docs. It has a padlock, which means the site that I'm using right now is secure. So sometimes it is gray in other machines, like a Windows machine, it will be green. And if you want to also just continue confirming, it has HTTPS at the top. So we need to be able to show our children to know if they're going to secure sites, this is how the URL should look like. And then if you start getting emails from places that are not recognized, start spamming them and start, conversing with an adult around you, specifically your parents or your guardians, to help you through it. If you're receiving letters regarding government benefits or taxpayers, some of us get these emails that you have won the lottery and then you never even participated in any lottery. Those are phishing emails where we need to be able to start having conversations with our children, because at that particular time you get an email like that, you really get excited, and guess what you do? You start giving private information about yourself. That is now how identity fraud happens. And then how should we protect? How can I protect my child from identity theft? Check their online privacy settings. This might look like a lot of work. When I tell parents to do this, they keep saying, but Evelyn, this is a lot of work. You better be doing that a lot of work instead of regretting. So go to all their online sites, check their privacy settings, check their device settings in terms of passwords, in terms of what kind of security they have put in there, and then find out what is already out there that according to their names and the platforms they are. Check what information is out there already. And this will help you now start working backwards. If they have been sharing too much information, that is the opportune time to start telling them to share a little bit less of themselves on their different social media platforms, and then take actions and go incognito. Everybody, I keep feeling that we all need time away from our social medias, and going incognito, which is just missing in action for a little while, it helps us also start thinking about life away from the online platforms. And this actually starts helping our children realize that there is so much in life to live for than just being on social media. And also, if it is a place to reflect on the kind of content that they have been posting online, going incognito helps them come up with a strategy. When they come back online, then they can start doing their social media postings in a different way. So help them understand that it is okay to take a break and start looking backwards in terms of how they are presenting themselves on different kind of platforms. And then, of course, as we are doing this, as a parent, you're going through your children's platforms, we need to start enabling privacy across all their social media platforms. On my screen, I have at least 4 of the most used, I believe. YouTube being one, because I know very many people are accessing a lot of content on YouTube. Facebook, and Facebook has 3 platforms, WhatsApp and Instagram. And then there is Snapchat, which our children really love. And there's TikTok that is really trending right now. We need to be able to go through the privacy settings in each of these accounts. And first and foremost, just get to see, are our children having public accounts or private accounts? And are they sharing the information to everybody in the public or to just their friends whom they have subscribed to? Having conversations with them along those lines will help them learn that it is better for them to be sharing at this particular time when they're younger, to share information with their friends and not with the general public. Because again, all these things that are shared by them and that are also shared by people whom they know, it always constitutes to their digital footprint. So this is a conversation that is ongoing. Don't go in it knowing that they will stop now. You have to go in it gradually and helping them understand that we need to be able to take certain security measures and into all your social media applications. And this is how we are going to start. And this is my desired outcome should we finish this particular endeavor. And so I will just flip through how we can do this on YouTube. And you can go actually on your dashboard on the YouTube page, and then go to your videos and see your profile page. Then get into your home tab where you'll see your settings. And then you can start looking at the kind of security settings that have been set there. You will see your name. You will see if your account is public or private, and you're able now to see if it is listed or not, and you're able to start changing these things periodically. Remember, when we were talking about values, when we are creating privacy settings, should always be married to your values, because your values are what makes you who you are. And we will be able to have our children understand that privacy is something that is really, really something to be held dear. So always have this conversation in line with our family values. And while we are doing that, help our children know how important it is first to have passwords. But because a password is not just a password, we need to help them create strong, unique passwords. And so you're able to see how the length of a password, I know the minimum length is like 8 characters. So they need to start having a password that is at least 8 characters long. That password must have numbers and it has letters. They call it alphanumeric. When you have numbers and you have letters, and then try and make this information not common. I know for parents, we always we tend to lean along putting our children's names as passwords because that is the name that you can't forget easily. But add some numbers or some special characters, and then try and see if you can put at least one character as a capital letter to just make it more strong. So when we help our children start creating strong passwords, we are helping them through the process of online safety and security. And then here is a topic that we are all familiar with, cyberbullying. And through this, I will be able to also show you some different types of digital harassment. And within the same survey that was done by UNICEF, 47% of children interviewed reported to have experienced some some form of online harassment. Now, I know even we ourselves, we go through some sort of online harassment, either from private chats or just the public social media platforms over the internet. And so it is really important that children who are bullied online to know very simple steps that they can take to cope and to look for support. And so we need to be able to look at the do's and the don'ts to give children in terms of helping them get support through the process of bullying. But also remember, as we look at cyberbullying in terms of the children who are bullied, we need to also look at the children who bully other children and see the kind of gaps and the needs that these children are presenting that force them to get into the space of causing harm to other people. So what do you actually think cyberbullying is? How is it different to other forms of bullying? I know we grew up in a day where there was no technology. We didn't have the internet when we were growing up. And so for us, bullying was physically harassing each other on the playground and in different forms. Either we would beat each other, either we would abuse each other. And that was some sort of harassment. And so now the harassment has gone into the online space. Has now become virtual. So I need to be able to just hear from you, participants, if you're able to share with us the different sorts of bullying and why cyberbullying is different from other sorts of bullying, it would be lovely. But also just understanding that the dispensations have changed and we still have offline bullying, which we now resonate with, and also seeing how children take the experiences they have offline and take them into the online space where they invite people who might not have been part of that either misunderstanding or misconceptions, and it takes a life of its own when it is over the internet, because once things are over the internet you invite very many people into it. Some know the genesis of it, some don't know, and some are just coming there to troll because for the sake of just trolling. So we need to be able to see how that happens and how has bullying changed or how has it evolved. Smaller audience, when it was face to face, we had smaller audiences within a closed quarter. That is what many parents I know resonate with. It was limited to those within the view of that particular misunderstanding or disagreement. Bullying can be identified. It literally has a name. And then it was easier to prove and it was easier to punish when it was face to face. It has since evolved, and now that it has gone to the virtual space, the reach has really, really metastasized. It has become big. And within a matter of seconds, you can have two people in a conversation to having thousands and thousands of people whom you actually do not even know. Harmful comments and images being shared in multiple times. And then I would just want to imagine how a conversation comes from a WhatsApp conversation. It gets into a platform where it meets so many viewers and comments, and people are sharing it now in different platforms all together, and that can be very, very bad. And then often a degree of anonymity to the perpetrator. There are very many people who are keyboard warriors, and we know that people will change their screen names to just say very hurtful things to people because they believe they cannot be seen. This is how bullying has evolved. And then it is very difficult sometimes for the police to punish, even to apprehend the people who are behind this kind of bullying activities. So we can actually see from where we were when we were growing up, things have actually really changed. They have evolved, and we're able to see now more and more children getting into a space where online bullying is something that they cannot handle. And so I want to just familiarize you with some of the terms that I used out there in terms of bullying or digital harassment. So we already have harassment, which is targeting an individual or a group with persistent and offensive messaging, which could develop into cyber stalking. So we are very familiar with harassing. So let us learn new things that we might not be very familiar with. Outing. Outing is publicly shaming a person from having a private conversation to embarrassing them on public platforms. So we'll have what was probably something private between two people, somebody screenshotting it and sending it to other medias to embarrass that person. And then we have trolling, which is deliberately posting provocative and insinuating messages about sensitive subjects to other people. And this could be subjects like racism. It could be things like misogyny or just individual content. And we have bans. It might not be very serious. They're just like playful teasing. And I think if I may use a term that we used to use when I was growing up, is what was called mchongwano. In the playground, we used to call bands mchongwano. So if you are familiar with that word mchongwano, that is what a band is. Roasting is when people gang up towards an individual and start abusing them until that person becomes a victim to crack over something. And then griefing happens mostly in multiplayer video gaming platforms where people also start abusing a particular player, either to get them out of the game or to just make them lose certain opportunities within a gaming platform. So these are just a few terms that you can familiarize yourself. What can we then look out for in terms of bullying? When your child stops using electronic devices and it is very sudden and unexpected, that is a red flag. And then when they seem nervous or jumpy when using their devices, or they become very aggressive constantly when they're online, that is also a very big flag. Or sometimes the children who start becoming reluctant to socialization, or they don't want to start taking part into some activities when they're online. That is also a very big flag. There's also something else that I realized, that children will start getting frustrated or upset when they're online or they're gaming. Those are things that should make a parent start putting their conscience on. And then when their children start having unexplained weight loss or unexplained weight gain, that is also a big red sign. And then having headaches, stomach aches, and eating trouble. And I think one of the things that children actually start showing is signs of anxiety when you're just about to interact with them in a certain way. That is also a red flag. There are children who have nightmares or they have difficulty sleeping, and then some of them will start losing their interest in some of their hobbies. So we need to start looking at how our children are behaving in the initial onset of them being online, and if there's something that is happening within the space, if they start having a different kind of engagement, please take time to speak to your children. And then here is what we can have in terms of do's and don'ts. Find out why what is happening. Find out why. Don't go and start giving your advice. First, listen to what the children have to say. Talk it through. And when you're talking it through, let them also try and chip in and see what kind of ideas they can give you. My son the other day came and told me that someone at the playground was using bad language, and he was very categorical, telling me that, "Mom, we will deal with it as children on the playground. Please do not post it on your mommy's WhatsApp group because you will get us into trouble." And I realized they also want to be in charge of what happens in the playground. So as you're talking it through, be ready to listen if they have any solutions that they can offer in the situation that they're in. And then teach them by example. We are parents who have gone through very many things in life, so we're able to teach our children through the examples that we had. The environments might have been different, but I'm very sure the teachings are the same. We also have to learn from our children, because I believe as they keep telling us different things, we are able to also see how we can learn from the different environments that they have, and how we can help them through. And here are some of the don'ts. Please don't get upset when your children say things that you do not expect them. They are not in your head, they are independent thinkers. So don't get upset. Please do not ignore. When you start ignoring them and not giving them an ear, they start looking for alternatives. Remember, if you don't listen to your children and answer their whys, they go to the ecosystem, and the ecosystem might not share your value system. So you can't control the conversation your child is given. And then do not condone bullying. If your child is the one who is bullying other children, find out why and don't condone it, because you need to be able to be in a position to sort out what is making your child go out there and cause injury to other people. And then don't take away their devices. This is a mistake that very many parents do, and the reason why I actually advise parents not to take away the devices of their children, because unfortunately the ecosystem will provide those devices, and when you don't let your child understand the why behind you punishing them in a certain way, they will go and be deviant against what you're saying. So please do not take their devices away. Have a way to talk with them and learn from their experiences. And so I would want to ask, what are some of the ways you would bring out bullying with your children? So this is just a conversation that you can, a question that you can share with us on the platforms. And at this particular time, as we are having this, before we go into the tips, I would like you to share any questions that you might have from the discussion that we've just had. And then as I do that, try and see, look at these tips. If you can, please just have a piece of paper. We will share this presentation if you're able to share with us your email, and then you will be able to see some of the tips that we are sharing in today. Google has so much content that we need to be able to consume because it is at our disposal and it's absolutely free. Safety.google helps our children to be smart, to be confident, to be little explorers when they're on the online world. And this is what we really want. After we have already shown them all the steps on how to be safe, the next best thing is to help them harness what is over the internet. And these are places where you actually can help them with such information. Be Internet Awesome was recently launched in Africa. It is content that is available to us that will help your children with 5 core pillars: how to be smart, how to be alert, how to be strong, how to be kind, which is very, very important, and how to be brave. Kindness and bravery are things that we need to show our children from example, and we need to keep equipping them with these things every single day. So Be Internet Awesome has so much content that will help your children with these 5 core pillars. And this is content that you can progressively use over time, because it is a lot. You can just be chunking it out in ways that when you're conversing with your children, you always have a place to go to and converse with them. Now, for those of us who love gaming, last week I promised I was going to show you something awesome, and here it is. Interland by Google is such an amazing game that I hope even you as parents get to learn from playing when you're playing with it. Have your children show you how you can do it, because you only use the 4 arrows, the up, down, and the side arrows, and get into the land of knowing digital citizenship and online safety. This is a very, very nice platform which it has incorporated gaming, so our children are learning as they're gaming, which is an amazing, amazing thing. I love it. I'm an adult, so I know you will love it and your children will equally love it. So try it. And then we also have digital well-being family guide, and you would get it on wellbeing.google families. It's something that you actually also can get content. And if you're an educator, this is an amazing, amazing platform for you, because you will have very productive conversations with your students as you're teaching them in this online dispensation. So these are tips that you can actually use. They are free at your disposal. There is a wealth of information in there for you. It is just to take time, sit, consume it, and be able to pass the knowledge across. And here are a few tips as I'm winding up, a few tips for your engagement with children. Whenever something comes to you, talk early, talk often. Talk early and talk often. Choose the right time. As a parent, as you're choosing the right time, also choose the right ambience and the right environment. I keep telling parents who I engage with often, whenever you want to caution your child or reprimand your child, look at the environment. If you're able, go for a walk with your child, or go to a bedroom somewhere where you're just the two of you, or your partner and your child, and you're able to talk in privacy, and your child feels, that they're not being shamed even within the rank of their siblings or their friends. So as you're talking early and talking often, choose the right time, choose the right environment, and open up and share as well. One of the things that we need to do as parents is to show our children that we are also vulnerable. I give an example when I'm doing this talk, and I keep saying that most of our parents, when I grew up, and my friends, all of our parents used to be number one in school. So I don't know whose parents used to be number last. But as we are growing and realizing that there are those people who used to really thrive in school and some of them that really used to struggle, we need to also show our children that we are also vulnerable. And some of the things is even just showing them vulnerability in terms of even the screen rules that you have put. Sometimes you may say that the toilet is a tech-free zone, and as a parent, you still go with your phone to the toilet. You need to show your children that, by the way, you know what, I also can make mistakes, and they get to see you as a human being. So open to them and show them vulnerability, and then remember to create a safe space for your child. That is the idea of us having this conversation with you people, so that we are able to see how every home can be conducive for children, so that they can always come back to you whenever things are hard, even when things are good. Your home should be as conducive as possible. Give them a listening ear. Don't judge them. Don't overreact. Let them speak, because the dispensations have changed. We used to have more physical engagement when we were growing up, but now our children have now gained online conversations, and when they're on the internet, remember they're global citizens. So they will interact with people who share different values, different cultures, different denominations, and we need to be able to help our children through this entire session. So even as we wind up the second webinar, I would just like to thank you so much for being a part of this series of parenting and the internet. And we do hope that we have given you enough tools that you can go out there and share with your children, share with your families, and you're able to even instill some of them at home as early as today and throughout your parenting journey. Please share with us what you have learned, what was your best takeout, and what you're going to instill, and what you're also going to share with your people. And I would love to just take this over back to, I believe it is Nelly or Alex. Alex, I think this is your time to help us also just think through the questions, and please share with us some of the things that you have been going through in terms of Web Rangers. Karibu sana, Alex.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. My name is Alex Gakuru. For those that don't know me, I'm the Executive Director of Code IP Trust as a Kenya nonprofit that focuses on matters to do with content, with online safety. We deal with promoting policy, law, and regulation on expressive content, and also ensuring the Kenyan identity is promoted online and all throughout all the media. Mine is really very simple. Is to actually acknowledge, because I don't have time to go through all the questions. I think we will look at them, and I know there are very many. Is first and foremost to thank KFCB, Dr. Zekiru Mutua, in particular, and the entire institution for graciously launching and hosting this parenting and the internet webinar series. I want to thank the KFC board and leadership present. I also want to acknowledge and thank, appreciate Honorable Gadhoni Wamushomba's representing legislators here, mentioned at the beginning, and the gratitude to the Communications Authority for the Director General's remarks as read by Mr. Chris Wambua. We want to thank the Women in Business for your webinars partnership. And thank you, Evelyn, our trainer. I've been following this and it's been wonderful. We cannot forget to thank Milka, the sign interpreter, and of course, John Tiger and the technical team that have made it possible. Your work is really valued. Thank you very much. We thank you, the valued participants, for making time to learn about parenting and the internet. And of course, I cannot thank Google enough for this particular initiative targeting parents, but also for Web Rangers, which is a different program that Evelyn has just mentioned. Web Rangers is a youth online safety initiative that was launched in Kenya in 2015 through a statement from His Excellency the President. I read by a cabinet secretary, Precious Blood, at the event involving various schools. We're extremely humbled and we're delighted that His Excellency sent that statement. Since then, these Web Rangers initiatives What is it? It equips the youth with the knowledge, skills, and tools to be safe and responsible users of the internet in a fun, enjoyable way. I think you already saw a bit of the video. Kids love it. And so it's not admonishing. It's not really telling them how evil it is, just telling them, hey, you know, be your brother or sister's keeper. They become then after that ambassadors of safe and responsible use of the internet. And Code IP has partnered with KFCB since 2015 when that was launched. Dr. Mutua remembers the many incidents. He came to the schools. He also went to other events we had. So thank you for that partnership we have had with you since 2015. I cannot forget Communication Authority of Kenya. Thank you very much. Your partnership is even longer. It started in 2005. Your online safety, we have partnered with you on online safety, internet, and broader communications development in throughout the Kenya. That partnership is highly appreciated. Now, following the success of these web rangers online safety, we must acknowledge that Google went a step further. And because teachers started requesting, hey, you are teaching children, what about us? We took the request back to Google and Google made a program. Then after this succeeded for the youth and for teachers, parents said, we are being left out. And we went back to the request and look what has happened now. We are now having parenting and the internet. So I want to thank Google for not only having safety, online safety baked into their products, but going a further step and ensuring there are tools that specifically help parents to be safe, better parents online for their kids. Family Link is absolutely marvelous. Parents love it and they like it very much because it helps them to be better parents of their children's online safety. And again, you go further out of your way to support the initiative where people are now sensitized like this. It is your support we really like. So I want to thank Google for thank you very much. Finally, every person who has joined us today, your presence is highly, highly appreciated. And we ask you to continue being our partners in spreading this, because we have now scaled up this program on online safety, particularly on youth, to cover the whole country with Kenya Scouts Association. We have covered all the counties, and we have county scouts coordinators who are doing a marvelous job. Thank you, Kenya Scouts. And we are extremely happy because we were urged by His Excellency the President last year to even increase the number of people to be trained to 700,000 this year. Unfortunately, this COVID has been a problem, but we are doing our level best to scale that up through online initiatives. So we appreciate that you have been part of our success in that regard. And with those few remarks, I hand back to you, the moderator, and thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Asanteni sana. Back to you.
Okay, so we come to the end of this. We really want to thank everybody who has been around with us. We believe that you've learned a lot. Evelyn, thank you very much. Thank you also for the interpreter who was there, for our other brothers and sisters who may not be getting it exactly the way we are doing. Unless, Mike, you have anything else, then we are going to bring this to an end. Michael?
No, I'm good. That's it. Let's close it.
I think,
Okay.
Nelly, if you can just indicate where the content can be found. I think there are people who want to review the videos and so on and so forth. If you can close it up by giving the direction.
Okay, so for those who joined us late, we were running live on YouTube. You can get it from Evenet Communications. And then on Facebook, we have Kenya Film Classification Board, Facebook Live. We are also on Twitter. We were on Twitter as hashtag KFCB Google, KFCB Google Digital Parenting. You'll get all that from the Twitter. You will find the real time, whatever different speakers were telling us and what Evelyn told us, you'll find it online. You'll also find it on Twitter. Thank you very much. Without any further ado, I believe we are now moving away from being digital immigrants who are hosting digital natives. Thank you, and we hope Evelyn will do this one more time. Asanteni, God bless you. And that's the end for now.